I
I agree with you, but it's
go ahead.
like,
I know it's hard. Yeah.
no, it's not even that it's hard. It's just that so far on a lot of these things, I think they've been able to avoid these massive actions because the headline has appeared stable. Like it's you can kind of let it deflate behind the scenes as long as we're all in the collective psychosis of things are fine. But
Correct.
once that breaks is when there's so much political pressure from every angle to do something, screaming at the top of their
Correct.
lungs. So that's when I'm thinking it's going to be. I don't know what'll happen, and I agree with you. It feels like they're out of rope, but I just know that
Mhm.
we're getting close to like the dam breaking on everyone realizing that it's not as rosy as everything appears, and then you don't know what happens. Uh,
Yeah, and you just have to look that we're backing ourselves in so many corners, and is that on purpose? Like, it's so funny. People are like, "Well, Trump said, home prices won't go down." I said, he also said that gas was going to stay cheap.
he said a lot of things, and I'm not sure that
How's that
so
going?
he wouldn't go around.
Right. And
Yeah,
so I believe you go back to the 70s, look at the oil embargo, and a lot of people call me a conspiracy theorist about for this, and that's okay. But in the fall, you could see all the narratives start to crack at once. And
in the
you could
70s.
see
I mean, I don't. Yeah.
no,
Uh,
oh no, I mean in the fall of this past year, like
okay.
September,
Right. Right. Right.
August,
Yeah.
September, you were getting articles out of the industry talking about home price declines. Zillow came out and said, 53% of the homes have lost value around 9.6% since last year,
Yeah.
on
I
our
remember
list.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the narrative started cracking, but it was everything at the same time, including AI, all these things that, yeah, we're still in a blow off top. Like we're still in a psychosis, but you could see every single narrative start to crack and it felt almost synchronized. Just because as I was watching the data, I wasn't seeing the same thing, if that makes sense.
True.
And so I think that what's happening is we're in a scheduled demolition. And it could very well be that we were sold a lot of hopium. If you remember the enthusiasm after, Trump got inaugurated. But then we had the tariff terror in April. And I
Sure.
feel like that was the warning shot. And it was kind of the warning shot listen, get out of the market or get screwed. And everybody's had a whole year to kind of figure out their positioning. And meanwhile, the administration is looting the system, like
Yeah.
looting it,
Yeah. Looting it.
right? And I think what's happening is because this war doesn't make sense at all. I mean, it doesn't make sense on 800 levels. And so we are getting backed into a corner where it's going to look like it's not related to anything else. It's going to be gas prices. It's going to be, the economy just going into the toilet. And will they try with some sort of bazooka style? Well, I mean, Kevin Warsh, I don't put a lot of faith and stock in the Fed at
Yeah.
all. Like
Yeah.
the bond market's in control, not the Fed. But Kevin Warsh isn't a QE guy.
That's what
Could
he
he
says.
change
I mean,
Right, could
everyone
he change
changes their
spots?
tune, but
Yeah, exactly.
uh,
Could he? 100%, but it feels like more what's happening, and this is when people really call me crazy, is Bissett wrote a paper about debt restructuring, and what it really feels like is we might actually not tomorrow, not even next year, but we are on the path to defaulting or restructuring our debt, because there is no other way out of this, and for people
other
that
than
say
printing,
print
right? Yeah.
well, but printing is not what people think it is. It's like it's creating bank reserves, and if the banks aren't willing to go along, it won't happen. And you take something like what happened around here in Helene, or you take Pacific Palisades, or you take what happened even in Kerrville, Texas. So we still have upside down signs on the highway. We still have damage everywhere. Why wouldn't they print money to take care of that? Like, and so the only you I feel like what we're watching is kind of the last gasp of the system, and those in power are looting at every turn because they know what's actually ahead. And now it's hard.
It's
I'm
tough
with
to
you,
hear,
and I get
Melody.
it.
I mean, it's yeah, it's you do get that sense. You get the feeling. from some of the articles you see, but that's it's tough to
It's
hear. I mean, I do. You mentioned there's parts of it you're hopeful about. In that, at the end of the day, some of this has to deflate. Like no matter how it happens, it has to
who's the
get that.
buyer? Who's the
No one
buyer?
can buy, and
Right,
so yeah, there is like a level of something. It has to be done.
right.
Yeah,
And the only other way it's if, we all get high paying jobs. I'm down for that. Like if we get high paying jobs and we can all afford these prices, great. Like whatever. But there's no buyer. There's no buyer. And if the government does try to do something, because when they went crazy buying MBS at the end of the last cycle, it did zero. It did absolutely nothing. It didn't stave off. That's when you had to have the institutionals come in, and this is why I'm more convinced, is you needed that exit buyer. You needed that, and they got it through that stimulus. But how could those institutionals afford those homes? Prices were down.
right.
And then they also got them for a discount from the agencies through the foreclosure process, which won't happen from just like, oh, okay, they'll have to be in distress for a buyer like that to be able to come in and buy. And I personally think the buyer is going to be the government. And they'll buy it and they'll say, there'll be like all these affordable housing programs where they say, okay, if you make X percent of the local median income, you get X amount of dollars toward this house. Like I think they'll probably try some things like that. But where I come down to they can't save home prices is you look at the supply. And so and this is what's just go on the road. I could take anybody and show them and just look on your road, look at the vacant homes on your road. Like we are living in a psyop, but the amount of supply out there is overwhelming. If
Is
you
this
drove
regionally allocated? Like, I would love to get a sense. Do you think this is nationwide, or you're seeing a
nationwide
nationwide? Okay. Are
because
there
the
worse areas?
vacancy. Worse areas?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, worse areas in terms of so if you're just talking the overbuilding, that's Florida. It's the entire Sun Belt. Even here in Johnson City, Tennessee, they built like every, California and New Yorker was coming here, like every single southern city. So the South it is like what has happened here. The Northeast, that's where you see a ton of this vacancy, because it's these boomer homes. Maybe they died, maybe or they're in a nursing home, and it's just a matter of time before the kids get around
Right.
to
They haven't
selling
sold it
it.
at a loss yet, but they're okay.
You
Or not a
It's like
loss, but like
Rochester,
not.
New
Yeah.
York. I mean, this such Rochester is the best example where essentially what happened is the Micron plant was gonna be close. All of a sudden, Rochester was gonna be a tech hub. You have I forget the actual percentage, but the number of vacant properties in Rochester is unbelievable because you used to have Kodak there. You had used to have other industry. Once that went away, the exodus out of that city was massive because it's also not such a fun place to live.
Sure.
Well, a Micron plant comes, they do these buy the block programs for investors, and they say, "Come on, we'll give you X discount if you come put lipstick on this pig and, make it look good." But that has not. So how crazy is it that home prices are going up in Rochester and their vacancy is, I think there's right now in Rochester, which is not a big town, something like 11,000 vacant properties near the downtown area. Like it is something massive. I don't have the exact
Sure.
numbers, but it's crazy. I wrote for people that are, subscribed to my Substack. It was called Flower Power, FLOUR, because they used to make like flour
In
there in
Rochester.
a
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
factory. And then they did flowers. Anyway, it's a long history of that town, but the amount of vacancy is massive. And so it's just a matter of awareness. It's a matter of this actual probate process playing itself out. And I think actually the Northeast is going to fare much worse than the South because the South is actually increasing population somewhat. That slowed bigly last couple of years. But they're the only ones increasing population. I mean, the Northeast isn't. And there's so many shenanigans. Like you take New York City,
Yeah.
they have I've heard estimates of 50 to 100,000 apartments off market right now because there was a bill that was passed in 2019 that said if you have a rent stabilization, a stabilized apartment, you can only increase rent by this month much or not even at
Right,
all,
right,
and
right. And so
nobody could pay for repairs. Yeah,
they
so go
just took
ahead.
them off market basically
They just took them off
so they
market.
could increase the rent at whatever rate
Right.
they want. Right, 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 right.
Or they're waiting for the legislation to change. And
Or are
but
they doing
that's
like private, because you could have like, I'm gonna rent it to my cousin's friend's cousin for a
correct.
rate. Yeah,
There's
yeah.
so much of that
Yeah,
going
yeah, yeah,
on.
yeah.
But a lot of them can't even operate because 'cause they've stopped. They're like, "Okay, well, I can't even operate." They just and, they're just waiting for legislation to change or waiting for the market or whatever, and there's all these vacant apartments. And so if you just drive the streets, you will see this. And when I was at that housing
So
policy conference, that's what I said. I'll take anybody to any city, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
so like, I guess, I don't know, put a bow on. I want to understand what you think is happening I don't need specific dates here because I understand that's difficult. Although you did make a great call last time. But like where you see this going over the next year or two? Like what is the direction we're headed? Because it does feel like they are running out of rope here.
Yeah,
Um
we're headed I mean, so you gotta think even though it feels like nobody cares about the midterms, you gotta think we gotta get through those, and that's honestly, it's as if by design, on that FHA, everything they could possibly tap will run out in Q4, for most people, and so
after the
I think
midterms. Yeah.
after the midterms, um, I think though, based on every signal you're seeing, you've got as published by NAR, the median list price now down 2.2% year over year. That's your listing prices, theoretically, although they've revised those and lied, whatever, but they're now showing it down year over year. You've got the lowest sort of year over year increases in the case Shiller. You also had the Freddie Mac home price index come up. So I tweeted this. So in the season, because the people that are transacting can afford it, you're gonna see firming of prices always. It
Yep.
happened in the crisis,
Yep.
but seasonally, there's only been 9 times since 1975 that month over month prices have gone down from February to March. And that is 1991, 95, the 2008, 9, 10, 11, last year, not even last year. I think it was 20 I can't remember the exact dates, but it has been
Around
so
COVID and
few
then
t
yeah.
yeah, it's been so few times, and of course, I don't look at just month over month. I look at all of it, year over year, moving averages, blah, 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 but you are seeing signs from every and then you look at the builders, dear God, those home prices they just published, 387,000, take off another 50 for the incentives, that's 337 of an effective price where you have, existing homes at 400 and something thousand, which I think I shared this with you before. Historically speaking, that existing homes were uh, the only time they were ever more expensive than new homes was in June of 2006, like 1
Right,
month,
right, right,
and we
right,
know
right.
what
And
was
we have
going
that
on in
now.
June
Yeah,
2006.
yeah, yeah.
We've had that off and on for the past 18 months, and now
Isn't
it
that a
is
good
just
sign though for
whoa.
like if you're I mean, other than the fact that it's very difficult to get a job, but if you're a younger person and new homes are dramatically decreasing in price under what you expect, isn't that a good sign? Like, isn't that a chance that you're gonna be able to get into a home that you can afford?
It so is, and I just that's what I just it sucks it's taken so long, but it is. It's a total sign that all of me the mainstream media is ignoring, but you cannot have new homes be cheaper than existing homes. That doesn't even make sense, and so there are all these signs out there. If you're looking underneath that headline, that all of this is shifting, and in fact, it's been shifting since 2022, and you can see it in every data series. But this is the lie. This is the psyop that we've been in. And what's happened, and this is what I say about the buyers, is I'm proud of them. They've just said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to overstretch myself. Now, too many of them said yes, but that's why the market has been frozen for 3 years. And what happened as well is you had a lot of people in existing neighborhoods go out to those exurbs because they could afford it. But now prices are coming down in the cities and they're going to leave those new homes. And
Right. They're
so
going back.
those new homes they're nowhere near the bottom. And so again, it is so hard to believe because all we hear is the government's going to do XYZ, but they're socially speaking, their options are very, very limited if they don't want to get Luigi'd. And so, I just think that there is hope out there. And so if you want timing, if I'm just going to go with my gut
Sure.
and tell you what I think,
Sure.
which people will hold against me at a future date,
I'm
which is
sorry.
fine. No, no, it's fine, it's
Just
fine.
as I'm tracking
Listen,
method,
I've
I'm
taken so many errors over the last 4 years, no problem. I think that come the back half of the year, and it could be probably July or August, we're gonna see a year-over-year price decline. That is going to wake everyone up. Everyone's gonna be like, "What the?" And it'll be little. It'll be flat or
sure.
something like that. But by the time you get to Q4, because here's what happens outside the season. Outside the season is everybody who doesn't have a choice. And so that's death, divorce, default.
Right.
And at the same time, we're having that delinquency increasing. So as we come around that corner, a lot of your sales are going to be distressed sales. And so you're going to see those prices start to come down. So by the end of the year, we are going to be year over year negative. And then once you have that crack in the narrative, things are going to start to snowball and we'll likely see it could even be a double digit drop, next year. But that won't be the end. I think we're going to see then probably slower over the next decade,
Well, I feel like
price
that's the
declines.
big question mark, right? After there's something as big as that, that's when what the response function is what you don't know. What the government's gonna do, what people are gonna do. But yeah, I mean, I think that's very, very sobering, but also interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Mel, I guess I appreciate you giving us this insight and I appreciate you coming on and talking about it. I wonder if there's anything else you want to. My audience is mostly young, they're mostly trying to get into a home. It sounds like there's I think society wide, there's some things to worry about, but on their individual level, especially if I got more than most, they have some stability. I think they might have a
Mhm.
chance to get into the
They
housing
have
market.
a
But yeah,
chance. And they'll probably have a chance. So here's what I say too is like, why are you buying that home? If you're buying it for shelter and you want to be there for 5 to 10 years, like you're not going to care once prices are only going down 2 to 3 to 4% a year. Like
right.
and so and what I always say to the young people is please, please just don't overstretch because that is like you want to wreck your family, you want to wreck your marriage. That is a surefire way to do it when you cannot afford a home and like just
Oh, the
the you know,
stress. Yeah,
the
yeah.
stress and home ownership is so personal, so emotional. And like our fathers are like, I need to provide a home for my family. Like that's so important to them so but don't do it, under pressure if you can't afford it, and you have to imagine that electricity bills are gonna keep going up. I mean, with these data centers, if, that doesn't get stopped. And so just don't overstretch yourself. Hold on. Do not take on debt as much as possible because that's how you get really screwed during times like this with a 21% interest rate on a credit card. You will never get out from under that, unless you go bankrupt.
Right.
So just do your best. Don't overspend. Save money. And I'm not telling you that not buying a Starbucks is going to get you a home, but I am telling you that if you keep your credit there are going to be so many. What I actually think the programs are going to be this time are going to be geared to those first time home buyers and through the Road to Housing Act and saying, oh, you make 100,000. Okay, this is what you can get. This is the assistance we're kind of going to give you. Like it's going to be more focused on those first time home buyers. And so if you have a good credit profile, you have reserves in the bank, you're going to be able to get there. And so but you have to be patient. Don't give up either. Like in ways, I think that's what they want us to do. Don't give up.
Right. No, I agree
Keep
with you.
demanding. Like keep and I wrote a Substack last fall called "Make It Happen" because we can make it happen. There are more of us. We can vote with our dollars. If you don't think our vote counts, our dollars count. and how we spend them matters. And if we say F you, we're not spending them this way, meanwhile, you're going to your landlord and saying, by the way, I know rents are going down. So I want to renegotiate this
Right, right.
lease.
Yeah, 100%.
Take that
Yeah.
money, put it in the bank, and get ready because it's coming, barring this is gonna sound terrible, but barring some kind of nuclear disaster, barring, the UFOs landing on my front yard, like, this is coming. Like, it's coming, and people can tell you there is a vested interest in making you think that it isn't. Just don't fall for it. And what I'll say as well, is sign up for my free Substack. You don't even need to pay. Like the whole top portion, I always give you the tools on how you can figure this out yourself, like where you want to buy. Because there are opportunities today, but again, just don't overstretch. And so, but don't stop hoping. In many ways, I think that's what folks want. Just don't do it.
No,
Be
I agree with you.
stubborn.
I think your
Yeah.
I think your vote matters too. I think people should be as active as they can be to try and change the
Right.
political and economic realities of what's going on. Melody, I really
Right.
appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining me again. Maybe we'll talk again in another 6 months and see where we're going. But I appreciate it so
Exactly.
much. Chat, please check out her Substack. It's one of my favorite reads, although it is sometimes depressing. But it's one of my favorite reads on what's going on, boots on the ground in the housing industry. Really appreciate your time, Melody. Thank you so much.
Anytime. My pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye. Very interesting interview. I just find her to be a really good conversation on what's going on. There's probably a few small things I disagree with or want to go deeper on, but I in general, again, I can't overstate. I really think if you are, I don't know, have instant pushback to try, even read the free Substack. Take a look. Her research is quite substantial. She really goes into detail. Which is Substack. It's M3Melody at Substack.com.